Morning and welcome to Young Church. My name's Dawn Mortimer and I'm one of the Young Church team here at St Mary's. This week I've got Lakota with me. Now last week we learnt about creation and Adam and Eve, and this week we're going to be learning about another character from the Old Testament called Moses. Ruth's going to tell us a story from Exodus 1. Morning and welcome to Young Church. My name's Dawn Mortimer and I'm one of the Young Church team here at St Mary's. This week I've got Lakota with me. Now last week we learnt about creation and Adam and Eve, and this week we're going to be learning about another character from the Old Testament called Moses. Ruth's going to tell us a story from Exodus 1 and... Lakota, where have you gone? You're scared? Why are you scared? Oh, I know. Don't worry, you're safe with me. I think it's because Ruth has got somebody else or something with her. Should we have a look?
Good morning, everybody. You will remember a few weeks ago we were looking at a story of Joseph and the Together at Home pack. And I don't know if you remembered, but do you remember that Joseph was somebody that God really used? He was in prison for a while, but then God raised him up to become a leader and to be able to help Pharaoh save the people of Egypt from a great famine. And he also brought his family down. So Joseph's family grew and grew and grew until became so many of them that they began to take up such a big part of the country. And after a few years, there was another Pharaoh, another king of Egypt that came up, and he had forgotten all about Joseph. He didn't know the story of Joseph. He didn't realise how much Joseph had helped them as a people. And so he started making slaves of them, because there were so many of them. He thought, I don't want them to get more and more. I'm going to make them work for me. And he even tried to kill off a lot of the baby boys. So this week we're going to hear about the story of one of those baby boys. It's God called the secret baby. There was a family that lived in Egypt, and they were from the tribe of Levi, part of Joseph's family that had moved down many years ago. And they had a beautiful baby boy in their family. They had a little girl called Miriam. But they were very afraid because the king had made a rule that all baby boys were to be killed. So they were desperately trying to find a way that they could save him from the king. And they had an idea. They decided they would hide him. So they made a basket. They made a basket. They made it a very big basket of reeds. And they put the baby in the basket. And they put a cover on it and decided that they would go and hide this baby so that the king would not find it. So the baby's mother, Jochebed, and his sister Miriam, they took the basket and they came down by the river and they hid it among the reeds. And then the mother said, Miriam, I want you to stay here and hide. And just keep an eye, and if the baby cries, I want you to come and tell me, then I can come and feed it. Just look after the baby while he's hiding in the reeds. So the mother went, and Miriam hid behind the reeds. But there was a bit of a wind blowing, and suddenly they found that the basket was moving and moving and moving and coming outside of the reeds. And oh no, what was that? There was some people coming, and some people had seen it. But you know who those people were? This was the daughter of the king with one of her maids. She was coming down just to have a bath in the river. The princess looked out and said, oh, there's a basket there. I wonder what it is. She sent her maid to go and have a look, and see what was in the basket. So the maid came and she opened the basket, and there was the baby. She took the baby and carried it back to the princess. The princess said, "This must be one of the Hebrew children. Oh, he is beautiful." Just then, Miriam, who had been so worried, came running up all the way to the princess and said, "Please, Your Highness, would you like some help? I know somebody that can help to come and look after your baby." And the princess said, "Yes, of course I need some help." And she went immediately and she got her mother. And the princess said to the mother, she didn't really know it was her mother, but I think she guessed. She said, "Can you look after this baby for me? And I want you to keep him at home and look after him and keep him well. And when he's old enough, I want you to bring him to the palace, because I want to raise him as my son. And I will call his name Moses, because I took him out of the water." What cat? Oh, that cat. That's Simba. Simba, he's our neighbour's cat. And he's very friendly. Well, that's because you don't know Simba very well. He's very shy and he doesn't like loud noises, so if you bark, you frighten him. But you don't know that you don't like him. I know dogs don't like cats, but you have to get to know things, don't you, and other creatures. If you got to know Simba, you'd really like him. Anyway, back to our story. Wasn't that good to see the wonderful way that God protected Moses and found a way for him to be cared for by one of the most important people in the land? You know, God had a plan for that little baby, just like he had a plan for Joseph, who'd been in prison. God has a plan for each one of us, and he has a plan for each one of you too. And it's always good to be able to take a time to think about what God's plan for you might be. Mostly that you will get to know him and to love him. So let's hear the reflection.
God looked after and cared for Moses and had a special plan for him. As you close your eyes, reflect and think about how great God is, and thank him for all the opportunities he has given us, and having a plan and caring for us all.
It's time for craft. You alright, Lakota? What are we going to make today? Well, a little bit of a challenge. I'm going to show everybody how to make a boat from origami. What's origami? Origami is when you fold the paper to make something like butterfly, but today we're going to make a boat. Oh. Won't it sink out of paper? Yes, it will. So what I'm going to challenge everybody to do is I'm going to make one out of paper. You can make one out of paper as well. See what else you could make one from. Could be lots of things. Plasticine. Plastic tubs. Yep. And do you think they will float longer than the boat I've made from paper? Don't know. Well, I'm sure lots of people out there will. Let's have a little look and see how I'm going to make my origami then. So to make the origami boat, the first thing you need is a square piece of paper. You need to fold it into quarters, so make sure, be very careful to make sure the edges line up. And if you're one of our younger children watching, you could make a boat out of almost anything. Work with an adult and they'll be able to help you. Get some ideas together. Might like to use some plastic tubs and put some sails in it with using some sticks or some rolled up pieces of paper. You could use plasticine. Play-Doh might Well, see what happens if you use Play-Doh. Okay, see whether it stays together. Once you've folded it into quarters, you then fold in 2 of the sides. So you end up very carefully again in the middle. With an envelope type shape. Using the edges that are on the fold, not the ones from the middle, the outer edges, you fold those carefully into the middle. And they should meet. So once you have your, I'm not quite sure what shape it is, if you can help me, a long hexagonal, regular hexagonal shape, you need to then very carefully fold it in again, but with the centre point there you fold that up. Won't go, you need to make sure the folds are in the corner, it won't go up to the outer edge, just to warn you. And make sure you fold it from that centre fold to the edge. And you'll end up with a shape, it's like a dart there. Go from the centre edge again and fold it up to the points, corner points. And all the instructions for this are on the TAF sheet, the Together at Home sheet. So you end up with a kite shape. Next thing to do then is to, using the centre points here, fold them into the middle, the next bit is the tricky bit. So you have a shape that looks like this. Yeah, you've got the shape, the outer shape there, the points into the middle. But next thing you need to do is to push the middle in and turn it inside out, so you have your boat. So the outer bits come out and you have a flat boat. It looks like this. And then you can test its sails. This one I made earlier. So why not have a go at making both a paper one and your own out of another material? See if you can find a completely different way of making one, which is more effective, which would have held Baby Moses better.
Dear God, thank you for looking after Baby Moses and how you had a plan from him and how you have a plan for all of us too. You took care of him and will do that for us too. Thank you. You are an amazing God. Amen.
Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in ho, ho.